fun to just talk about them without listening to an actual story. So we have for you here today a renowned international storyteller, Seema Wahi Mukherjee, who's also a puppeteer, an education consultant, and a storytelling coach. Can we have Seema Wahi on the stage? Please enjoy the lovely story.
Thank you so much, Kritika. So thank you so much. And I am so glad to be here and have this opportunity to share stories with you. So today we are going to do a read aloud, and read aloud can be of different types. It can be something in which we stick to the text and something in which we highlight. But today what I'm going to do is an interactive read aloud, mixing elements of storytelling in it. And the story for today is something which we all, not just children, but we all as adults also need to do. And that title is I Love Me. Okay. And this story has been written by Menaka Raman and Ekta Bharati. So let's begin. What do you see here? I would like at least a few of you to interact with me as we go along.
Glasses.
A little girl with wild hair.
I see a joyful girl who is playing
And
with her.
she's angry.
Yeah, so can you all make your faces like this with a big smile and tongues out? I'm going to definitely make mine like that. Can you all do it? Okay. Great. Thank you. Okay, now let's see what's inside and who this little girl is. Let's meet her. The 23 Shanti Colony is Rubina's new home. As soon as she unpacks her things, she rushes off to Rome. Now, who is Rubina? Do you think this girl's name is Rubina?
Maybe.
Maybe. And she has moved to her new home, which has an address. I'm sure all of you know the address to your house too. And it's exciting, sometimes a bit sad sometimes, to move to a new home. But Rubina here is excited and she's unpacked the things and she rushes off to Rome. But why has she gone out to Rome? What do you say, Varun? Where is she going?
Oh, holiday?
Yeah, quite excitedly as well.
No, to check out the neighborhood.
To check out the neighborhood. Okay, let's see what she's going to do. But as she goes out, her eyes fall on the picture of her with her friends. She looks at them wistfully. She misses her old friends, Nina, Raj, and Som. But now they will be new ones whom she can call her own. So she is going out to maybe make new friends. Let's see who she finds. Do you think others are going to be nice too?
Hopefully.
Okay. So she goes out and she sees a little girl here. Can you see the girl here? Is this okay?
Yeah.
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 And she says, "Hi, my name is Rubina. Will you play with me? I do love all sorts of games and can even climb a tree. So will you play with me?" What do you think the girl is going to say? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Sure,
Okay, what would
maybe.
you have done?
Not sure.
Not sure. We don't know. Okay. So, shall we find out?
Yeah. Let's go.
Okay. Here. The girl looks at Rubina, then points with a shriek. What's that on your forehead? Big hairy streak? Oh, is there a big hairy streak which you can see on her forehead? Just like
Mm.
this.
Ah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, Rubina, do you think she's going to feel bad about this?
She's probably used to it.
Maybe. Well, someone might tell me that I might feel bad, but let's see what Rubina does it. Maybe she's used to it. Maybe not. Maybe her friends earlier were kind. Let's see what Rubina does. Rubina loves her eyebrows. What's the fuss about? They are perfect for hiding caterpillars, especially when she's going out. And what, will they become friends or will Rubina move on? Okay, you know what Rubina did? That girl was not interested in becoming her friend. So Rubina just shrugged her shoulders. Can you all shrug your shoulders like this? Shrugged her shoulders, raised her eyebrows. So raise your eyebrows. Lifted her feet. Okay, so lift your feet, though I can't see them. And she danced off to find some friends she can call her own. Friends who would be kind. Let's see who she meets next. Well, before I turn, do you think the next set of friends would be kind?
Not yet.
Hopefully, hopefully.
Maybe. Okay, so let's find out. Well, she sees that boys are playing cricket. Goes there and she says, "Hi, my name is Rubina. Can I play with you? I'm good at bowling googlies and at fielding too." Well, the boys look at her. I think there is a bit of a glare, so I'm holding it back. So the boys look at her, and the captain of the cricket team touched her glasses. He was a boy who was very tall, and he said, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which one will see the ball? Well, do you think Rubina will feel bad about it or she's used to it?
Maybe she feels bad.
Maybe she feels bad. Do you think she's going to cry?
No, she doesn't look
No.
the kind who'll cry.
No, she doesn't look the kind who will cry. Okay, let's see what she does. She does look sad though. Look at her face. Can you see her face?
Yeah.
She doesn't look happy.
Mm.
But let's see what she does. Think about. Well, Rubina loves her round glasses. They remove the fuzz and blur. Thread Nani's needle. With a Nani, her grandmother, and threading her needles. And find fleers in Rani's fur. That's a dog. So her glasses is something which she loves, just like she loved the eyebrows. So what does she do? Rubina shrugged her shoulders. Everyone shrug your shoulders. Raised her eyebrows. Everyone do that too. Lifted her feet. And goes on to find some friends she can call her own. Friends who would be kind. What do you think? Who do you think Rubina will find now? Will she find a kind friend?
Hopefully.
It's time.
Hope-
Yeah, it's
It's
time.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Let's see what she does. Yeah. She is on this swing and she says, "Hi, my name is Rubina. Can I play with you? We can take turns swinging and see who outswings who." And who's she talking to? These two girls. They look very happy and they look the kinds who would play with her. But the girls looked at Rubina. They looked her up and down. They whispered. Can you all whisper? They giggled. Can you giggle? And they laughed. Can you laugh too? everyone. And they said, we don't want to play with you. You are as a giraffe. Now, what do you think? Do you think now Veena would feel sad after so many, you know, children saying no to her? Let's see what she does. Rubina loved her nimble legs. Yes, they are very long, but they help rescue cats and kites that get stuck in trees or thorns. So she loves her eyebrows, she loves her glasses, and she loves her long legs. Let's see what she does now. Now, her smile drooped a bit. She felt a bit sad. Her eyes were not as bright. She missed her friends, Neena, Raj, and Som. They knew how to cheer her up, all right. But do you think she will stay sad or will she move on? What do you say? Will she move on?
She'll move
Yes.
on.
Yeah? Okay, let's see what she does. She shrugged her shoulders. Everyone shrug your shoulders. Raised her eyebrows. Lifted her feet. And she danced off. She decides to play alone. A game that she made up where she is the king upon the throne. And here she is, a king on the throne. Can you see this? And just as she sat there, a boy came and said, "Hi, my name is Alex. Can I play with you? I like to read and write and draw. What do you like to do?" So, do you think they're going to become friends, Alex and Rubina? Well, they did. And Alex had two rackets. So they started playing badminton. And this is how Rubina found her first friend. A friend she could call her own, a friend who was kind, and the friend who accepted her just as she was. Thank you. I
Thank you
hope you
so
enjoyed
much,
it too.
Seema.
And all I want to say is, with children, I would do different things, but to all the adults here, I just want to say that sometimes just what Rubina faced, we also face it as adults in some different ways, and it makes us doubt our own self. In times like those, remember, like Rubina loved everything about her, don't doubt yourself. Just love yourself and say, I love me. Can you all say that? Keep your hands on
Yes.
your heart.
I
I love
love me.
me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Seema, for that. And for
Pleasure.
making us fall in love with ourselves in 10 minutes. That was lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank
S-
you, Kritika. Thank you for having me here, all of you.
on the back of that wonderful story, let's get talking. Talking about why children need to have literature growing up for a happy, wholesome childhood, and of the people who make this possible. On the panel today, we have Bijal Vachrajani, commissioning editor at Pratham Books and author of many planet friendly books. Sandeep Maji, who leads monitoring and evaluation at Suchna Community Organization. Nirupama, a library educator with 10 plus years of experience, whose happy space is a library. And Archana Natarajan, a reading champion and parent to the most enthusiastic young reader. Welcome, all of you. Okay, do
Thank
I?
you, Kritika.
Yes. Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We are eager to hear your thoughts. I am going to start with Bijal. Hi, Bijal.
Hi,
Bijal,
Kritika. Thank you so much for having me, everyone.
always. Bijal, I want to ask you about how do you, as a bookmaker, think about creating moments of delight for children while you write a narrative or a story?
Uh, you know, one of the things that I strongly believe is that we are all made up of stories. I mean, from our ancestors to our daily interaction of telling our friends, saying, look what happened today. It's one of the things that we always do. We want to tell stories. And which is why when we are working with children as well, you need to let the story come first. Often we want to tell something, we want to tell things of importance. After all, stories have values. But we need to center the story. It's the etching of characters, of crafting the sentence. Um, I'm a picture book editor at Pratham Books, and when you're working on a picture book, what you do is you take an emotion, you take the emotion of, say, of love, or in terms of I love me, it was about self love, it was about identity. Or if it's about grief, of sadness, of joy, of adventure, you take that emotion and you keep peeling it. Just think of it like an onion where you keep peeling the layers until you get to the core of it. And that's what you do to for children. You distill it into very few words and lots of pictures. So, you know, you think about the craft, about the sentences, how you phrase them, the page turn moments where, you'll turn and then there's that aha moment with when a child suddenly smiles or gasps. And then there's that pause. You decide what will the words tell and what will the images say, as Maurice Sendak, one of the greatest picture book makers ever said. They tell different things. So, what I mean is, I think what we are constantly trying to do is recreate on the page that special distillation of what childhood is all about.
Thank you so much, Bijal. I really love what you said in the end about the recreation of what childhood is all about. Thank you for that. We have with us Sandeep. Sandeep ji, namaste. संदीप जी सूचना के साथ बहुत काम करते हैं and children and reading, they have done a great job of getting children to read consistently, एक बुक के बाद दूसरी बुक. तो संदीप जी, आपकी जो जर्नी है और आपके जो प्रोग्राम्स हैं उस पे आप क्या किए हैं आप बच्चों के साथ, और आपको कौन सी बात पे आज गर्व है कि आपके प्रोग्राम के थ्रू ये हुआ है बच्चों के चाइल्डहुड में? संदीप जी, आप म्यूट पे हो, थोड़ा अनम्यूट करेंगे?
नमस्ते सभी को। मैं सूचना से हूँ। सूचना जब स्टार्टिंग हुआ था 2004 में, तब सूचना ने नोटिस किया था जो हमारा ट्राइबल कम्युनिटी है उसमें संतरा कोड़ा दोनों कम्युनिटी है, उसमें ज्यादातर बच्चे लोग स्कूल नहीं जाते और जो भी जाते थे वो ड्रॉप आउट आकर वापस घर चला जाते। तो इसके पीछे क्या रीजन है, थोड़ा सा ये जानने के लिए हमारा छोटा छोटा सा रिसर्च किया तो पता लगा। क्योंकि जो संतल कम्युनिटी और है ट्राइबल कम्युनिटी है, उनको जो स्कूल में जाने से पहले दिन से उसको अलग सा लैंग्वेज में पढ़ना पड़ता था। इसमें मान लो हमारा बंगाल में जो आ मीन्स अजगर था, मगर शांत अजगर, तो उससे बच्चे को पहले से अलग से मीनिंग हो जाता है। अजगर का मीनिंग अलग है, मगर आ से उसके जो आम से उसके रिलेट नहीं कर सकते थे वो लोग, क्योंकि आम मतलब वो जो सामने वाला है उसको उनको भाषा में समझ में आता था। जो आम जो सामने वाला है उसका आम बोलते थे, मगर जो टेक्स्ट में था वो डिफरेंस था। उसके पीछे एक मैंगो का तस्वीर है, उसका बोलता आम, तो वो पहले से थोड़ा सा कॉन्फ्यूज में चला जाता था। तो सूचना नोटिस किया। इसके साथ साथ और एक चीज था, जो स्कूल का टीचर भी है वो भी नॉन संतल है, तो वो भी समझ नहीं पाता। वो सही ढंग से पढ़ाया मगर बच्चे लोग नहीं समझ पाए इसके वजह क्या है। तो सूचना पहले उसी दिन से स्टार्ट किया था जो उनको भाषा में कुछ मटेरियल्स बनाना है हमको, वही से जाननी शुरू हुआ था। और इसके साथ साथ हमारा स्टोरी ओवर के साथ टाइप हुआ, तो बहुत सारे किताब हमने ट्रांसलेट किया। अभी तक संताली में 400 प्लस है, उसमें दोनों स्क्रिप्ट है, एक संताली बांग्ला स्क्रिप्ट है, उसके साथ साथ एक ऑलचिकी जो संताली का ऑफिशियल स्क्रिप्ट है वो भी है, और हम लोग कुछ बाइलिंगुअल स्टोरीज भी बनाए हैं, जिससे जो टीचर लोग हैं जो नॉन संताल है, जो संताल पता नहीं है, उसको बांग्ला स्क्रिप्ट से उसको लैंग्वेज थोड़ा सा समझ में आए। और हम लोग ये क्या हमारे जो मटेरियल्स है वो भी उनको कैसे पढ़ाना है ये भी उसको सिखाया। तो हमने जो नोटिस के अभी ड्रॉप आउट नहीं है, 2 एक है, ज्यादा नहीं है। तो इससे हमारा अच्छा लगा, क्योंकि अभी बच्चे लोग पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं। और जो हमारा लाइब्रेरी सिस्टम है सूचना में, तो अभी 32 विलेज में लाइब्रेरी है, वीकली एक बार जाता है और वो ही बच्चे लोग लेता है, लेकर वो पढ़ाई करता है। और वो स्टोरी हमारे टीचर तो एक बार बताते हैं, फिर खुद बच्चे लोग जब किताब लेते हैं उनको पता होता है ये किताब में क्या स्टोरी है, तो वो लोग खुद हैंड राइज करके बताते हैं ये स्टोरी मैं आज बताऊंगा। तो इससे हमको बहुत अच्छा लगता है। तो बच्चे लोग खुद जो पढ़ाई नहीं कर रहा था वो अभी खुद आगे आए, मुझे चांस दीजिए बोलने के लिए, ये बहुत अच्छा लगा।
थैंक यू संदीप जी। वो बहुत बड़ी बात है जब एक बच्चा आके बोलता है कि मैं आज कहानी पढ़ूंगी, तो थैंक यू सो मच। और संदीप जी और सूचना का वर्क बच्चों के लिए ट्रांसलेट करना सिर्फ उसके लिए नहीं, लेकिन टीचर्स के सपोर्ट के लिए ट्रांसलेट करने के लिए भी है। और थैंक यू फॉर शेयरिंग दैट। Coming to you, Nirupama, you get to be with children and observe what really happens when a child interacts with the storybook. Can you share some moments that you remember from your journey as a librarian? What is that palpable feeling when a child and a book interact?
Thanks, Kritika. And I think I'm going to like take a leaf out of Seema's book and what I witnessed right now today when she did the story. That all of us, when we were shrugging our shoulders or trying to guess what was happening with everything. So I think that moment is very, very precious when we're working with children. You know, as a library educator, we go in with so many expectations saying that they need to get this out of the story and that out of the story. But when we sit with children and you see them, you know, looking really closely at a picture, or they're trying to understand or make predictions about the text, or they're asking a lot of questions when the story is on. I think I live for those moments to see, you know, it's so easy to just go and read the story, read every word aloud, and actually do an interactive read aloud with them. So I think those are some really precious moments. Or when I've done book talks with children, you know, you leave it at a hook and then they reach out and try to grab the book and walk away with it. So I think it's so important to have a huge variety of stories to show children. And also kind of when they make that emotional connect, just like Bijal said, you know, that you have to look at the sentence, look at how it's arranged, how the pictures are going to be, what are we trying to achieve by making this book. I think a lot of emotional connections that happen, the gasps, the participation. I think we really, as library educators, we go in hoping for that. And just having a lot of fun with children, not going in with an agenda to say that, you know, it has to go exactly this way, because they have minds of their own. They're going to ask you so many different kinds of things. And I think just going with the flow and waiting for that magic to happen when you work with them.
Wow, thank you, Nirupama. I think, yeah, a lot of times we go in so prepared that we forget to have fun. So thank you for reminding us of that. We come to you, Archana. Archana, you probably have the most first-hand experience of reading with your child. So what does that reading time mean for you with your son?
That is one of the most, like, you know, the best bonding time which I have with my son over the entire course of the day. Earlier, when he was younger, we used to read throughout the day, like one book in the morning, one book in the afternoon, one book at night. But now, because he goes to school, so night is the time we pick up books, and we have a rack in the room, and he picks up one, two, three, four, five. He said we have to sleep, but that's how it is. Like, there is some days when we feel very tired and my voice is like, I'm a little tired, can you just flip through the book? So he starts crying. So the impact of the books have become in such a way that if we deny reading to them, or some days I says, okay, can we just not read today, can we read more tomorrow, today it's very tiring and you have to sleep. So he feels very upset. So we have made it a point that no matter what it is, Even if we are choked in the voice, we are busy, we read one book at least to him. So that's how it is, and we started small. So I feel a lot of Indian literature, the books which have been written for Indian children by different publishers, they have got a major hand to make children aware of our current surroundings. They feel very familiar. The stories set in different settings, different parts of the country. Of course, there are books which are very good, which are different, set in different parts of the world. But I feel the way Indian children's literature has risen up to leaps and bounds, and the kind of books they have published, I have endless choices and my rack is full. I just don't know how to it, but it's a very wonderful feeling to have a child who is asking for a book and wants to read and wants to tell something. So I have had a very nice journey, and I hope I support my kid in this journey throughout, where he becomes an independent reader and starts, uh, I starts motivating his friends as well to that level.
Thank you so much, Archana. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I have met her son, and it's fantastic to hear what he has to say about the stories. So what I'm hearing is it takes a thoughtful picture book maker, a committed organization that is translating into a language that children understand and can feel in. A dedicated librarian and a parent to actually get a child ready for reading. And it's wonderful that all of us are playing those roles. Coming back to Bijal, I want to ask you, Bijal, Pratham Books has a very different kind of publishing model. A lot of our, all of our content is in the open domain, and we have Storyweaver where books can be translated, and so what is your motivation to create in such a model? What makes you right?
You know, I think 2020, when the world started shutting down, um, suddenly we were all, I remember our warehouse shut down at Pratham Books. And suddenly what we started seeing was just traffic on Storyweaver. And to me, I think one of the most powerful moments was when the community library project decided to make Dunya Sabki, which was this lovely program where they got stories narrated by their librarians to each child in their house who didn't have access to books at home. The first stop was our stories because they're all open source. Um, they didn't need to get permission. They needed to attribute, and that's about it. And seeing those stories travel at that time uh, made me just realize what the power of open is, getting these books get to children. And then the other thing is that they get to them in languages that are their own, in that the languages that you dream in, that you speak in, that you listen in. My own book, What's Nima Eating Today, is translated in 68 languages. Where else am I going to get some children listening to this book, reading this book in that many languages? I think so. A lot of it is really about uh, joy, and it's a collaborative sort of joy, whether it's the creators. So as writers, we work with our editors, we work with our art directors, and vice versa. It's that joy of telling a story that's not mandated by what the sales department team wants, but what the field wants. We're constantly listening, and uh, you know please send in suggestions. We'd love to hear more about what kind of stories you'd love to see on the ground. But it's that power of collaboration that I think keeps us wanting to create more stories for children to take and make their own. I must tell you, one of my favorite moments was we went to Goa with Bookworm Library, and this one boy was reading this book in Nepali, and um, he had his family had moved from Nepal to Goa for work, and he walked up to me and said, "Teacher, ye dekh, meri language hai." I mean, this child found a bit of home in this library. That's why I think we do what we do.
Thank you, Peter. The word that kept coming to my head when you were talking is Ubuntu. That is all of, I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, but I am because we all are, and collaborative joy, I think, is such a nice word. Thank you so much. संदीप जी, आप सांतली और कोरा में इतने सारे बुक्स ट्रांसलेट किए हैं, तो आपको ये ट्रांसलेशन करने की मोटिवेशन क्या होता है, और इससे पेरेंट्स के लाइफ में या जो पेरेंट और स्टूडेंट्स जो इंटरेक्ट करते हैं बुक के ऊपर, उसमें क्या फर्क आपने देखे हैं? संदीप जी, आप फिर से म्यूट पे हो, तो थोड़ा अनम्यूट करें।
बेसिकली सोचो ना, जब ट्रांसलेट शुरू किया था, पहले से शुरू किया था, खुद का स्टोरी था, तो इतना स्टोरी हम लोग खुद नहीं बना सकते थे। इसलिए जब प्रथम बुक से और स्टोरी से लिंकेज हुआ, तब बहुत सारे हमको सोर्स मिल गया, बहुत सारे इंग्लिश स्टोरी मिला, बहुत सारे बांग्ला स्टोरी मिला, जिससे हमको ट्रांसलेट करने में बहुत अच्छा हुआ। जो स्टोरी, क्योंकि हमारा कम्युनिटी का जरूरत था, जो बच्चे लोग है उसको नीड्स था, तो सिर्फ हम 5 6 स्टोरी बनाकर कम्युनिटी का जो चाहिए है उसको मिटा नहीं सकता ना। तो इसीलिए जब प्रथम बुक से बहुत सारे स्टोरी, अभी तो हमने बताया 400 सांताल स्टोरी है और 275 स्टोरी कोड़ा में है। तो हमारा जो 32 लाइब्रेरीज है, उसमें 100,000+ स्टूडेंट है, जिसको बहुत वीकली नया नया स्टोरी मिल रहा है। तो उससे उन लोगों को एक पढ़ने का बहुत इंटरेस्ट, दिलचस्पी आ रहा है इसमें। तो वो जो स्टोरी लेकर वो घर में जाता है, वीकली एक एक स्टोरी रख सकते हैं, वो किताब रख सकते हैं, तो जो घर में वो स्टोरी पढ़ता है, तो उसको पेरेंट्स को भी ये पता चलता है क्या स्टोरी में है। क्योंकि हमारा जो संताल कम्युनिटी है और कुड़ा कम्युनिटी है, उसको बांग्ला, उसको पेरेंट्स को इतना बांग्ला डिफिकल्ट है, वो पता नहीं चलता क्या पढ़ रहे हैं। मगर उनका खुद का लैंग्वेज जब पढ़ते हैं, तो उसको इतना अच्छे से समझ में आता है। पेरेंट्स भी ये लर्निंग कर रहे हैं, इसमें बहुत सारे स्टोरीज को पता चल रहा है। तो ये हमसे बहुत अच्छा लगा, और बच्चे लोग खुशी खुशी ये पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं अभी, ये बड़ी बात है हमारे लिए।
Thank you, Sandeep ji. Thank you so much for sharing that. Sandeep ji and team have done a wonderful job. आप कितने translations किए संदीप जी अभी तक?
अभी तक संताली में 400+ है, और कोड़ा में 275।
और और इसके पहले तो बुक्स मिलते ही नहीं थे बच्चों को, तो आपने
नहीं
इतने बड़े
नहीं
लाइब्रेरी
था,
क्रिएट किया है। थैंक यू।
सिर्फ हमारा
हाँ,
टीचर लोग जो था, वो
हाँ जी।
सिर्फ कुछ किताब बनाया था खुद के लैंग्वेज में। तो अभी तो बहुत सारे हो गया हमारा, तो हमारा लाइब्रेरी अभी सक्सेसफुल है।
थैंक यू सो मच संदीप जी, इतने बड़े रिपोजिटरी
और
आपके।
तो एक ऐड करना चाहूंगा।
हाँ जी।
अभी अभी हम लोग कम्युनिटी में मोबाइल में जो स्टोरी साइड है, उससे रीडिंग का एक्सेस दे रहा हो, तो ट्रेनिंग दे रहा हो। तो इससे जो बोई अभी तक प्रिंट नहीं हुआ, वो डिजिटली एक्सेस कर सकते हैं।
Correct. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing, Sandeep ji. Nirupama, coming back to you, I want to ask you, what are some things as librarians that, we can do, or as reading enthusiasts, to support children to build their reading stamina? What would you say about that?
I think there's so much, so much that we can.
Okay, 4 things.
Four
3 things.
I think the first thing to do is to think about it as reading for pleasure and not for pressure. Sometimes we get too caught up in saying that the child has to check so many books off and make sure there's a reading program in place, etc. But I think the biggest gift as librarians that we can give them is to offer them the choice of many, 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 many books in the languages that they want to read in. And, just working with them to, today a child might not want to read and say that, ma'am, I'm not somebody who enjoys reading, so I'm not going to do it. Be patient, hold on, it will happen, because there is a book for every child. It's just a question about getting there. And you have to facilitate that journey. Just to share an example that comes to my mind, I had a child in grade 8 who was extremely, he was invested in robotics. So he was very fond of working with robots. He used to build his own robots and everything. And whenever I would talk to him about taking a book from the library, he would just tell me, no, ma'am, there is no book in this library for me. Till one day we had a conversation about this book called Fish in a Tree by Linda Mullally Hunt, I think. Yeah. And he took the book, he read the blurb, and he looked at me and he said, ma'am, I think I'll borrow this and go. And he came back to write a response about the book saying that, and in the response, I remember him writing saying, I've always thought that I did not fit in with my classmates, and that is why I would resist doing the things that they wanted to do, because I was into robotics and I had the things I wanted to do and, my interests. But when I read this book, it kind of, he saw himself, it worked as a mirror for him, and he saw himself in that book. Now, if we just let it go and say, okay, the child doesn't want to read, and why do we want to force him? I think we kind of limit what is possible in the library then. So it's important to keep having those conversations, build it up slowly, build it up, like interact a lot with them, give them a variety of activities to do. Sometimes children may not want to read in that particular library period. Why don't you engage them in a game? Let the library just become a safe space for them to come back and enjoy it. And one day they will pick up a book and read. As you go through it, slowly talk about it, all of that. And of course, there are tons of things like read alouds, doing these book talks, also building a sense of ownership towards books. So anything that you do with a book, I feel children do get involved in it, whether it's taking care, you do the book care work with it, or you tell them that, okay, why don't you help me shelve the books today? Don't have to read them. Let's just shelve the books together. You're taking that one step closer towards things. And if you do it consistently, do it with, intent, I think the strength and stamina always builds. It takes time. It's like long-term investment, since we all understand finances. You put in that time and effort today, you will see the investment a few years later.
Thank you, Nirupama, for sharing that. Yeah, I think it is a long-term investment, and I wish every school has a librarian like you who's present for their readers. Thank you for sharing. Archana, coming back to you, are you here, Archana? You can hear me? Maybe not. Okay. Hi.
Sorry, I'm driving, so but I can still listen to you.
Okay, all right, all right. Oh no, Archana. Okay, Archana, I wanted to ask you, what does your son carry from any book that you've read to him? Do you want to tell us something from there?
Yeah, actually, he tries to relate to some of the characters, what he's seeing in the different books. So I would talk about one recent book, like one of the books which he really liked was Dive. So that level 3 book, which it spoke about a lot of these sea creatures, about scuba diving and everything. So he was able to read it and understand. But recently we went to one scuba diving experience where my husband could go, and then he understood what it is. And then we went to a sea where we actually saw all those fishes, the sea creatures. And he told, Amma, we read this in Dive book. So that is where I felt so good. And he's seen those creatures, he's able to understand. So some things like that he tries to relate to. For example, he likes Hakim Sikups also a lot. So he laughs at it, and because of the start of this one day, one story, we read it a lot, and he remembers all the lines by heart by now. And he laughs, and when somebody burps, he says, "Amma, that is like Hakim Sikups," and he had a burp and he has a belch. So many things he says. So some things like that, and we discuss a lot on books. Recent favorite is the travel series of Nannamal Kamlatan. All three: the sea, the road, and the air. So he loves that. It's so nice. So that's how he relates to every small thing from different books and picks up things.
Thank you so much, Archana. That was a very dangerous response with driving, but thank you so much for.
No. I am on auto mode. Don't worry. It's
Okay,
like
okay,
it's
all
on
right.
Bluetooth.
Thank you.
No, I am driving. Don't worry.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
Okay. Thank you, Archana, for that. I think
Yeah.
this is what everybody we speak to at Pratham Books also talks about, that what children read in a story, if they're able to remember it when they see it in their real life, that's quite the feat. I want to end this panel with a question for Bijal. Bijal, as an author and an editor, what are some recommendations you really have for anybody who's trying to integrate children's books into their education approach, or their engagement with a child? What are some recommendations you would have?
So you mean tips or
Yeah, what should we think about
okay,
when we
sure. Firstly, I think although experts have already spoken, I think they're actually the people you should be listening to. And I'm just going to expand on it more than add to it. I think making reading integral to growing up means you have to be part of that reading journey, which means that read with them even when they're past the reading age. You often find that children are fluent readers and then they lose interest in books. Maybe sometimes they need that constant companion, even when they say, okay, now I can read by myself. Read with them, discuss it with them. Daniel Pennack has a lovely book called The Rules of Reading. And one of the things that he talks about is just the power of reading aloud, as we already saw at the beginning with Seema. Reading aloud just makes so much of a difference in sharing that joy of reading. Um, so pause, discuss, and even with a wordless book, you can read aloud together. Um, don't make an academic meal out of it. Also, like I've seen sometimes forwards going saying, don't give screen time until they finish so many hours of so many minutes of reading. I think you need reading is actually fun, and so don't make an academic meal out of it. Make sure that it's centers on pleasure. Like as adults, we read for pleasure. The same that goes for children. And I think going back to what Nirupama was saying, let them choose, give them a sense of agency about, I picked this book and I read it today. That sense of agency is something that stays and helps create a reader. But, looking at the comments, I think everybody's already on that track and in a big way. So, more power to everything that all of you do as parents, as librarians, as teachers. So, thank you.
Thank you, Viju. Thank you for pretty much summing everybody's experiences together. Thank you, everyone, for speaking with us. A big round of applause for our panel. Thank you, Archana, Nirupama, Sandeep ji, Bijal. Thanks a lot. Okay.
Thank you, Kritika.
Okay, up next, I have a
Thank you
very
so much.
exciting segment for all of you. We have with us none other than Lanu. Lanu, are you here? Lanu's.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Can we spotlight Lanu? So we have Lanu here and we have Archana Mohan. Can we spotlight Archana as well? Okay. Both of them are from different organizations, but working on projects that are really creating new paths to access storybooks. We have Lanu with us today from the Forgotten Folklore Project by SauraMandala Foundation, and she leads the project, which is on creating contextual reading material for children. And they just finished creating 45 storybooks in Meghalaya. Congratulations, Lanu. And Lanu is going to speak to us about the joy of having your culture represented and having contextual books to read from a young age. Apart from that, Lanu herself is also an illustrator and a comic artist. So check out her work. She puts it under Midget, is it, Lanu? Is what it's called?
Sorry. I lost you for a while.
Okay, no, I was just talking about your personal work as well and asking people to check it out. All right.
Yeah.
And we have with us Archana Mohan, who is the co-founder and content head at Bookosmia. And she is a neurodiversity ally. She's an author herself, having authored 3 very unique books. You should ask her sorry, we don't have the time to go into each of those books, but you should ask her about it. And she is currently also working on a project called Not That Different, which she will be speaking to you about. Welcome, Archana, and welcome, Lanu. Uh, Yes. Okay, we did. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us today. The format of this session is going to be in a breakout room. So we are going to split the audience into 2 breakouts where you will get to interact and engage with each of the speakers. And we will share the content from the other panel also with you on email, so you wouldn't be missing out on much. So yeah, have a great discussion, and I will see you back in a couple of minutes. um, Hita, you want to do us the honors of putting us in breakouts?
Yeah, Kritika, I'll be opening it.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Varun.
Sangita, you're on mute.
Hello. Hello. I'm audible?
Hi, Sangeeta. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. I'm audible, ma'am.
Yes, Sangeeta, I think we've come back to the main room. So I will be leaving Lanu and Archana's email IDs with all of you. So
Yes, ma'am.
then you can reach out to them also.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Archana, Lanu, do you want to just put in your email IDs on chat as well? We'll send an email, but still. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Archana. Thank you so much, Lanu, for that wonderful session. I got to hear only half and half, but I'm sure, yeah, if anybody wants to go on chat and tell me how the session was, that would be great. But thank you so much for being so generous with your time and your knowledge. Really, really appreciate that. Yes, we are at the end of today's celebration, and we have with us Purvi Shah, COO at Pratham Books. Purvi, I invite you for closing remarks and for bringing today's day together.
I think Amna is doing the close.
Yeah. Puri, you want me to take that?
Yes, please. Please, Amna, go ahead.
Kritika, I'll start. Okay, I mean, to be frank, I don't know what to say here that hasn't been said before, and I don't think I can make anything. I can draw up a statement that will be more impactful than the stories we've heard today. But maybe I want to just talk about our story, the Pratham Book story. So we at Pratham Books have maybe spent the last 20 years creating joyful and inclusive picture books in mother tongue languages for every last child. That's been the mission. And as we celebrate our 20-year anniversary, we've also been putting more conscious effort into consolidating and celebrating the community that works so hard and as champions of reading for children, be it as parents, teachers, volunteers, librarians, and of course our writers, illustrators, and translators. But listening to all of you today, some dots did get joined for me, from Bijal talking about distilling childhoods in storybooks to Sandeep and Suchna's work around translating them to home languages for deeper connections with stories, and also as bridges between the adult and the child readers. And to Nirupama talking about the physical act of grabbing and holding on to a book intimately, and then Archana talking about the cherished core memories that she has been creating with her son while reading to him. Or, it's just been wonderful hearing all of this. One example, when Bijal mentioned the power of open, one example that I also want to share is that of Mexico. We've had the honor of seeing 20 plus language collectives get activated on Storyweaver, with more than 500 creators coming to translate books, 1,500 storybooks in the indigenous languages of Mexico, some of which were getting lost. So this also became a way of not just reaching the storybook, that my first book, to the child in a language that they understand, but also it also became an exercising in preserving and archiving lost languages. So yeah, we've had the pleasure of sitting by the sidelines and watching all of these stories unfold in front of us. And today, all of this, in some sense, circled into Seema's what I call rendition of "I Love Me," giving us an unforgettable reminder that stories and the characters they hold and everything about the storybook can actually become, it has the power to become close allies, friends, or just safe spaces for all of us. And then hearing Lanu, Archana, I mean, the way and about your work, Lanu, we know about your work even though I wasn't in your room, and the way you've built ways of telling stories, of granting powers to communities to document their own stories, or just be able to tell a story that they want to tell, has been awe-inspiring. So thank you so much. And we also realize that to bring joy through stories, there has to be intentionality, right, at every step, from the creator to the translator to the reader of the story to the child. So with this discussion, we truly hope
to have inspired more collaborations and partnerships and avenues to get children across the country reading. We look forward to connecting with each one of you and to help you kind of, power through the journey of teaching joy to children through storybooks. One of the things that you can do is join the Bachpan Manao Birthday Jao and Story Weavers Get Children Reading campaign that we have specially curated to build a habit of reading in children, one storybook at a time. Maybe Kritika or Shimoy can drop that link here. And once again, thank you all for joining us today. We are truly grateful for your time, for your insights, and of course, for the experiences. And of course, thank you to the sparkling audience. We would also like to extend a special invite for our next masterclass. This one is special. It's going to be about reading, creating, and translating children's picture books on Storyweaver, our open source platform. It's scheduled for 12th November. And we truly believe that stories in mother tongue languages have an immense power to establish deep connection with children. And we hope that this training workshop on tools to create translate picture books in home languages will be of interest to you. So thank you once again, and have a lovely evening. Thank you, Kritika, for bringing this together.
Thank you. Sorry, everyone. This is Amna, Associate Director at Storyweaver. Yeah, thank you, Amna. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone at the
Bye.
Pratham
Have a
team for
good
bringing this
evening.
together. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Hita. Thank you, Deepika.
Thank you.
Fantastic partner.